Hey crafty people, it's Tasha here and I'm back with another video tutorial for Pear Blossom Press. Today we're going to highlight a beautiful show-stopping floral with one of our halo lights. Let's take a look at the supplies that we're going to be using for today's card. I've got a halo combo pack. This is a value pack containing both halo lights and one lights. A layered flower die set from A2, circle layering dies from Waffle Flower, and this gorgeous press plate from Spellbinders. Now I've done my die cutting in advance and I've used some coloured cardstock for the various layers. I've also already cut a circle from an A2 panel of Nina 80lb using the die that fits my halo light best. I've now taped that panel to the clear plate of my Better Press system using some low tack tape, and then we can get this gorgeous press plate in position on the Better Press. And now we're ready to get it inked up with Mulberry Spellbinders ink. This is actually going to form the background of our card. If you don't have a Better Press system, you could achieve a similar look using a background stamp. I like using these press plates because it's actually going to push that pattern into the card panel as it stamps with the ink. So I die cut the circle first because if I die cut it after doing the press plate, then we're going to squash all that lovely debossed detailing that we're going to get here. Once my plate and cardstock are in place and the system is snapped into place using the magnet closures, we can just run this through the die cutting machine. I'm purposely going quite slowly to give that plate time to really transfer the pattern over to my card panel. And then once it's done, look at that beautiful detail and texture. I really do love this plate. Now we can get our halo positioned behind this panel. You'll see that the lights come still attached, but it's super easy to just bend and snap off the unwanted pieces. I did mention before that these combo packs include some one lights, but they are actually slightly different than the regular easy lights because these are a little bit longer and thinner. So personally, I find it's good to have some of each in your stash, and that way you can fit them with different card designs. As you've seen us do many times, I'm inserting my battery into the housing, and then at this point I always like to check that it's working, which it is. Now let's fit this into place. So we can add a small piece of double-sided adhesive to the top of the battery housing, and this will hold our light exactly where we want it. It's really important that you plan where you want the button to be on your finished design before you stick the light down. So we need to build up the rest of the panel to leave space for the light and the battery housing, and we can do this using double-sided foam adhesive. The one I'm using is actually from Pear Blossom Press. It's their best ever foam tape, which is actually double thickness and the perfect height. So I only need to use one layer. But if you've just got the regular thickness foam tape, then you're going to need to add 2 layers. So we can add it around the edge of the panel and then fill in some of the gaps where we think it might need a bit of extra support. I like to test it again at this stage just to be sure that none of that foam tape is interfering with the button, and it's all good. Now I originally planned to use a solid white panel behind, but looking at it here I just want more colour. So I remembered that I've got these coloured vellum panels from Pear Blossom Press, and this orangey goldy toned one pair really well with that mulberry background, and with the purple flower it's really going to make it pop. Now we can adhere it to another A2 panel of Nina 80lb, making sure to keep the adhesive on the outside edges so none of it is visible through that window that we've got. I don't want that gold to show at the edges of our card, so I'm actually just trimming a sliver off each side and then just peel off the release from our foam tape and stick that panel down. Okay, now we have our background and halo light prepped and ready, so we can work on that gorgeous layered floral. We've already got our pieces die cut from a couple of shades of purple cardstock, and I just used the key on the back of the packaging to know which layers should be darker and which lighter. Now you can absolutely go ahead and assemble your flower as it is, but I want to add some shading with my inks. So using a small blending brush and my Catherine Pooler inks, we can add a darker purple to the bottom of each set of petals. So I've got 2 shades, and I'm using the lighter ink along with a softer hand on the lighter petals, and then adding more on those darker petals. Again, we can follow the key on the back of the packaging to know which are the darkest layers and also where petals will sit so that we know roughly where to lay down the shading. Adding ink blending like this is a really quick and easy way to step up your layered die cuts. But once our petals are all done, we can repeat the process with the large lily pad leaf and the couple layers that form the centre of the flower. Now, there isn't a lot of ink really on these pieces, so they are going to dry quite quickly. So I'm just going to start layering and adhering everything straight away. Alternate actually have this awesome keyhole system, and that makes it ridiculously easy to fit these pieces where they need to be. And I'm using some strong liquid glue to make sure nothing moves from where it's meant to be. Once our flower is layered, we can sit it atop its leaf and then set that all aside to dry. The floral die set includes a mixed font sentiment, and I cut it from both white and black cardstock so that we can layer them a little offset to give a bit more contrast. Now, I had planned to do them both white with a black drop shadow layer at the back, but actually we could alternate between the 2 words, and I really love how that looks. So for extra contrast and to ground that sentiment, we're cutting a strip of that same gold toned vellum and adhering the scripty beautiful die cut on top. There is one last element that we need to create, and that is a push button. This is going to let our recipient know that the card is interactive and where they need to press. I've got this awesome little stamp and die set from Pear Blossom Press with loads of different instructions, and I have a little push which I stamped during a previous crafty session. Now the little circle die from the same set is the perfect size to cut out the sentiment. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but I think it's a really handy detail and I use it every time. Now that we've got all of the elements, I'm realising that we need to add a bit more solid shadow under the flower on that leaf. Now, we can just use a dark green Copic marker for that. To make sure that none of our other elements sit over the button for our lights, let's adhere that push down straight away. After all, we can't actually change where that button is now, so everything else is just going to have to fit around it. Moving on to the sentiment, we still need to place the small hello. So once we have the flower and that vellum strip sat roughly where they're going to sit, I like to audition a few spots for the last element. I do quite like having the hello sat in the window, but when it's paired with beautiful, it's just too separate and kind of just floating there. So ultimately, I think I've decided that I'm going to anchor it in place on the top of that beautiful word. I like how that looks, and we can adhere it here with liquid glue. Now, we don't want any unsightly glue showing through the vellum, so we can place all of our liquid glue behind the die cuts and then use that to adhere the whole strip onto the panel. The flower is going to be hanging over the edge of that circle window, so let's add a few bits of that same foam tape, but only where the flower will sit over the window. Then we'll use liquid adhesive on the rest to make sure that the flower is sitting level and it's nice and secure. Now, I really love how this is looking, but let's add some gems for a final embellishment. As always, I'm grouping them in 3 places to create a kind of visual triangle that's going to draw the eye into the focal point. And then that's it, our card is finished. Honestly, I love how this one turned out. I think that adding those warm toned gold orange accents really helps the purple to pop, and I love how the light accentuates that even more. Let me know what you think about this design in the comments below, and I hope that this tutorial inspires you to enjoy some crafty adventures of your own. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Please don't forget to like and comment below, and if you don't already, then I urge you to subscribe to our channel for more paper crafting inspiration. Have a lovely, happy, safe and wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye!